The first thing I heard wasn't shouting or crying or even the roar of the engines outside the window. It was the sound of metal closing around my wrists, that sharp click that somehow felt louder than everything else combined, and in that moment the entire cabin went quiet. Not calm quiet, but the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like everyone is holding their breath and pretending not to see what's happening right in front of them. I remember thinking, this can't be real, this doesn't happen to normal people, this doesn't happen to me. Except it does, and it happens more often than anyone wants to admit. I was 17, flying alone, hoodie up, backpack under the seat, just trying to get home. I had paid for my ticket. Window seat, up front. Nothing special, nothing stolen, nothing fake. I boarded early, scanned my pass, got the green light, walked down the aisle, and sat where the piece of paper told me to sit. That should have been the end of the story. But about 2 minutes later, I felt it, that stare. You know the one. The long pause. The look that says you don't belong here. The woman next to me cleared her throat like she was about to give a speech. "Excuse me," she said loud enough for people 2 rows up to hear, "you're in my seat." I smiled politely and showed her my boarding pass. I didn't argue. I didn't roll my eyes. I just showed her proof. She barely glanced at it. She waved her hand and said, "No, you're not?" Like facts were optional. Then she leaned back, crossed her arms, and smiled, that tight little smile people wear when they're used to winning. I told her I wasn't moving. Calm voice. Heart racing. That's when she pressed the call button like it was a panic alarm. The flight attendant showed up fast, took one look at my ticket, scanned it, saw it was valid, and then looked at me again. Really looked at me. My clothes, my skin, my backpack, and I could see the decision being made in real time. "We need to verify this," she said, already annoyed, already tired of me. The woman next to me leaned in and whispered, "You should have stayed in your section." That one stuck. It burned. Before I could even respond, the woman gasped, hand flying to her chest, eyes wide like she was on stage. "My necklace," she said. "It's gone." Then she turned, pointed straight at me and said, "She took it." No hesitation, no doubt, just accusation, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Everything sped up after that. Security was called. Then airport police. Nobody asked me what happened. Nobody searched her bag. Nobody checked the seat. They saw a scared teenager in a hoodie and a wealthy woman pointing a finger, and that was enough. One officer grabbed my arm and told me to stand up. I said I didn't do anything wrong. I said I had a ticket. He said, "That doesn't matter right now." When I resisted, not fighting, just confused and scared, he twisted my arm and pulled me into the aisle. People stared. Some looked away. Some watched like it was a show. When the cuffs clicked shut, I cried. I hated myself for crying, but I did. I called out for help, not to anyone specific, just hoping someone would say something. The woman laughed and said, "See, guilty people always cry." And that was the moment something shifted. A man stood up a few rows back. Plain clothes, no uniform. Calm. He didn't yell, he didn't threaten. He just said, "Take your hands off her." The officer told him to sit down. He didn't. He walked closer, pulled an ID from his pocket, and everything stopped. The flight attendant went pale. The officer froze. The woman's smile vanished like it had never existed. The man looked at me and said, "You okay?" That was the first time anyone had asked. Turns out he wasn't just another passenger. He was the owner of the airline, and suddenly rules mattered. Policies mattered. Evidence mattered. Funny how fast that changes. The cuffs came off. Slowly. Awkwardly. Apologies started flying messy and panicked. The necklace was found exactly where it had fallen between the seat cushions. The lie collapsed in seconds. The woman tried to backpedal, said it was stress, said it was a misunderstanding, blamed everyone but herself. The flight attendant cried. The officer stared at the floor. I just stood there shaking, realizing how close I came to being dragged away for nothing. We were delayed. Investigations started immediately. The woman was removed from the plane. The flight attendant was pulled off duty. The officer was escorted away. Careers ended before we even pushed back from the gate. But what stayed with me wasn't the punishment. It was how easily it all happened in the first place. How fast I went from passenger to suspect. How comfortable everyone was assuming the worst. Because here's the part people don't like to talk about. If that man hadn't stood up, if he hadn't had power, money, a title, where would I be right now? In a holding room. In a cell. With a record. Over a lie. Over someone else's comfort. I think about that a lot. About how justice shouldn't depend on who you know. About how many people don't get saved at the last second. About how silence more than anything is what lets this kind of thing keep happening. People tell themselves it's not their business. They look away. They stay quiet. And the system counts on that. I didn't feel strong that day. I felt small. But standing there watching everything unravel, I realized something. The problem was never me being in the wrong seat. The problem was someone believing they had the right to decide where I belonged. So here's my question for you. If you had been on that plane watching it happen, would you have spoken up? Or would you have looked away and told yourself it wasn't your problem? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. And if you've ever been judged, underestimated, or pushed aside because someone decided you didn't belong, you're not alone. Hit like, subscribe, and share your story. Sometimes the only way things change is when we stop staying quiet.